Ashok's book was published a few months ago, I think. It's called India is Broken, and he's written extensively on that subject. So I have a challenging question for you as well, Ashok. So if your name wasn't Ashok, and it was Narendra, and you were given the power that Narendra Modi has, what would you do? What are the top 2 or 3 things briefly that you would do to fix the India that you see as broken?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And I have, in fact, in my book, I do say that if I was Tsar of India for a day, and I could do only one thing, I would create a world-class mass education system. That is the central predictor of economic success and progress for the last 250 years. Go back to Adam Smith, 1776. Adam Smith is considered the prophet of free markets. What does Adam Smith says? It is the obligation of the state to create a first-class mass education system. Just note the word, mass. Mass means everybody. Today, the data shows that 85% of Indian kids finishing school do not have what are called basic skills to participate in a global economy. So yes, we have some very fine people. I'm not denying that. But you want to make progress on a large scale. Look at China. We keep comparing ourselves with China. The same percentage for China is 15%. China has some of the world's most intensely good educational institutions, right from primary school, secondary school, through the universities. There is no example in history of a successful nation without a proper, well-functioning education system. And if there was a second thing I could do, I would try work hard on gender equality. That's the other thing that history tells us. Adam Smith did not talk about gender equality, but since then we know that gender equality is crucial. Crucial both for social purposes and for economic purposes. And we lack woefully in gender equality. So you don't have two of the basic foundations for long-term growth: mass education and gender equality.
Thank you for bringing that up. In my travels to China, I did notice that when you go into a meeting, there are significant number of women managers in the room, and while the top leadership of China is not gender equal, certainly in the middle, in the corporations, they seem to be a much fairer distribution between men and women. So, here in the U.S., we have a woman in the White House, Kamala Harris. We have Nikki Haley, who got endorsed by the Koch brothers, and now by Tim Draper. We have number of women in political power here. We have women CEOs in the West of Indian origin. What do you think about the gender equality question in India, and how is it evolving?
I think, if we're talking about gender equality, I would like to see more women amongst your keynote speakers at your next iteration of your conference. So we can talk about India, but also let's talk about here. I will say, I would say the most successful, to add to what Professor Mody said, when you look at public policy interventions around the world, the most impactful kind of one factor that makes a difference, not just directly, but second, third order effects, is female literacy. And so education, yes, also especially making sure women are educated. But the second thing I think, and I think this is something the Indian government is acknowledging, which is you cannot have, and Dr. Geeta Gopinath has said this as well, you cannot have a world-beating economy if you have the female workforce participation rate that India does right now, which has actually fallen and is lower than many countries around the world. It's just untenable. So to me, you have to have, and it's to some extent, it's public intervention through governments, but it has to be a broader societal effort. It has to be cultural to some extent, more comfort with having women in the workplace. We're seeing some interesting experiments. Apple, for instance, is through its kind of subsidiary manufacturing facilities that are being set up, the Foxcons, etc. They're hiring mostly women in those factories. Let's see if that's something that can be scaled beyond, or not scaled up, but actually you see this at a broader level. So I think this is a no-brainer. To me, what's also interesting is last election, 2019, there were as many women who voted as men did. And so I think you're just going to start to see politicians have to listen to women in a way that I think nobody asked, what do women want? And hopefully that question will come to the fore, not just in this election, but in the future as well.
Well, I do encourage you to send questions through the app, and we'll get to them very soon. But very quickly, Jaijit, do you have a 30-second comment on gender equality or in India?
It's I mean, India and South Asia are pretty strange places because they were the first ones to have women heads of states, and for a long time they have a history of women running the place. But when it comes to running companies and running commerce, they suddenly seem to disappear. We obviously have a whole bunch of examples of this woman being the CEO of another company and so on and so forth. A lot of unicorns being run by women. But at the factory level, at the workforce level, exactly what she said, the women are missing. And that's a mix of gender infrastructure not being there. Education obviously is an issue, but a lot of semi-educated men are also part of the workforce, but where are the women? And that's going to hold us back if we don't provide the supporting infrastructure, which is both at a city level as well as a family level. Both needs to come up to be able to get the women to start working. And if 50% of your workforce is not there, that's going to pull your GDP down.
Thank you. Rick, do you track gender equality or diversity at all at CSIS?
Well, yeah, I'll just augment, something that Tanvi had said, right, which is it's everybody in this room's responsibility. I presume a lot of you mentor, a lot of men in the room mentor. Who are the last 5 people that walked through your office for mentorship? Were they all men? If they were, can you do more to seek out women that maybe are looking to take that next step up and where your counsel and advice and leadership can actually help? So, it is, echoing Tanvi, it's a call to arms, I think, for people in the room here. It's not some esoteric thing to be talked about on stage. It's something that everybody in this room can take forward and hopefully do some good things on.
Thank you, Rick.